Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the live. How you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday? Okay, y'all. We got a conversation for today. First of all, how have y'all been? How have you been? Let me know in the comments down below. But we have a conversation today. We're going to be talking about the 6 things that are required to have a healthy life. Did you know it was really that simple? I feel like we overdo it and we make it harder than what is necessary, but we are on the 5th episode of our health conversation. So yay to us. Yay, 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 yay. As we wait for everybody to come into the chat for today, I'm just going to give you a little overview of some things that we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be discussing the law of gender, because you know we're talking about laws. We're going to be talking about the law of gender. We're going to be talking about as above, so below. And we're going to be talking about our biology in general. And we're going to be using these all together in order to discuss the 6 things that we need to know about health. So I'm excited to break that down for us today. I'm just waiting. I'm going to add the, what's the word? I'm going to add the quiz poll. I'm going to add the poll. Let me go ahead and add the poll real quick while we wait for everyone to get in the room. Y'all let me know how y'all doing today. Okay, good. Good. That's good. We did that. So the poll question for today is just going to ask, are you healthy? There we go. Okay, so now it is up. Are you healthy is the question for today. Okay. How y'all doing today? Y'all like all the pink I got on today? A little pink, a little pink, a little pink, a little pink. But this pink doesn't match with this pink. When I put it on, I was a little disappointed. I was like, but it's okay. It's all pink. But, okay. So, yeah, y'all. We know that today we're going to be talking about the laws. Now, let's go ahead and do a little bit of foundational knowledge real quick. And understand foundational knowledge is just the little bit of information that you need to know that will carry your understanding throughout this whole conversation. Because I know that a lot of people come into this conversation and this is the first episode they've seen of me. This is the first live, the first time they ever seen me. Don't even know my name. Hey, my name is Meiana, y'all. Speaking of, hey y'all, my name is Meiana. I'm a sage woman. I help people like you who are disconnected from themselves connect back to themselves so that they can manifest the life that they desire in this lifetime. So go ahead and connect with me if you've been feeling a little disconnected and book a free 15-minute consultation in the description. You can also find it in this area if you're currently on live, if you want to book a free 15-minute consultation, and I will support you in identifying what's holding you back from the life that you desire. So I'll see you later. And let me go ahead and give you the foundational knowledge. So remember, we're talking about health. And a lot of times people think about health and they just think about not being in a hospital, not being sick, not having a vid. Y'all know what I mean when I say the vid, the vid, you know. A lot of people just think the absence of being sick is health, right? But we have to always lock back in and understand that health is really a wholeness. Hey, GR, how are you? Health is a wholeness. It's you being whole, feeling whole. It's you being sound, feeling sound. It's you being well, feeling well. And that's you also being able to tap into that energy within you that's constantly providing you life. And a lot of times we're not actively tapping in to ourselves that's constantly providing us our life. So, we want to focus on health being in that nature and not always in comparing it to being sick. Because if you always comparing it to being sick, what are you going to do? You're going to unintentionally manifest sickness, okay? So you know, we want to make sure that, or well, through this conversation, I've been pinpointing a lot of how health is focused on laws, right? The divine laws, which are laws that are above us and that we have to follow. There's nobody else that's going to make us follow these laws, right? But as human beings, we are subject to these laws, like the sun, having to get sunlight, having to drink water, having to get nutrients. These are things that humans are subject to. And if we don't, guess what happens? Our body goes against us, right? So those are the things we kind of been covering. And like I said earlier, today's conversation, we're going to just be covering some esoteric laws, some universal laws, which are the law of gender, the law of as above, so below. And we're going to be focused on the actual physical body and our cells. And then on top of that, we're going to be focused on, what am I missing? We said gender, as above, so below. And we'll mention the next one. So let's go ahead and get into it, because I don't want to wait too long, honestly, to get into the conversation. They're speaking loud. They were speaking loud all morning. I'm like, what is y'all talking about? Why are y'all so loud? Hi, how are you? Why are y'all so loud? Anywho, let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. Bonjour. Hi. How are you guys doing today? So understand, we talk about like masculinity and femininity so much. Like, people gonna look at me and they're like, she looks very feminine. I get that very often. People associate me with femininity very often. And in 2025, we see a man that dresses in a dress and we're like, that's very feminine, right? We see a woman who may be a dyke, we say she looks very masculine. But really, where did these terms come from? And we're starting off with this for a purpose. We're starting off with this for an exact purpose. Hey, everybody. How are y'all doing today? Because, hi, I touched my head, Bonsoir. And what's your name? Salazari? Hello. So we starting off with this because, you know, we see, let's say, like LGBTQ, and sometimes we associate them with a certain femininity or masculinity. We see regular men, and a lot of men, they be like, oh, that man is feminine. We emasculate men by calling them feminine. But really, where did all this come from? And you will be intrigued to understand that being labeled masculine and feminine was not always how humans were, right? We wasn't, you know, 2,000 years ago looking at somebody and be like, that's a masculine man. But for some reason today, it's a more trendy topic, and, you know, it's for all of the different gender problems going on in today. You know, we're going through a shift that's making people rethink their gender identity. But understand that the law of gender, when you think about it originally, it actually came from grammar. I know a lot of people are not into grammar, but y'all know I'm the speech lady. I love to talk about communication, and grammar is a part of communication. And the thing about it is that originally we used masculine and femininity to describe things within grammar. So just like in Spanish, y'all know, and if y'all know anything about Spanish, which is the second most spoken language in the United States, Spanish has either O or A endings. And with those endings, that's how you justify if it's a masculine or feminine entity, right? And so I'm not going to get too much into that conversation because I don't want to bore y'all with speech and grammar. But just understand that masculine and feminine energy came from grammar first. It was not to discuss a physical human being all the time. It was to discuss, oh, la mesa, la sol, el libro, right? Though that's, you differentiate between a masculine thing and a feminine thing. And even prior to that, it came from us talking about something that was animated, which has life, versus something that doesn't have life. So we were using this information to communicate about our world around us. So just to get even deeper into that, we know that in real time, hey John, how are you, friend? In real time, when you think about the actual word feminine, we associate that with a woman, right? And feminine originally was not like, oh, receptive. Like, you know how we describe feminine and masculine now, where we describe masculine as like direct and like manly and strong and maybe big, and like feminine we describe it as cute. Some people think pink, all those things. Well, originally we think about the word feminine with the law of gender, and it was describing the actual function of a human being, right? How a human being did something. So we looked at feminine and we said, oh, feminine woman. A woman has a baby and the baby gets nourished by her breast, right? That's how we describe feminine originally. Feminine meaning to suck. Why? Because the baby got nourishment through sucking on their mother's breast, right? Versus a man, we were describing man based on their function, right? What they do. And with that, it was more defined on their ability to like penetrate, right? Their ability to, you know, be the stronger individual compared. So we look at those things and we start to focus on the fact that, okay, so many of us got stuck in that okay. So many of us got stuck in that mindset of masculine and feminine, thinking that, okay, well, I'm a woman, I'm supposed to be feminine. And then so many people have this cognitive dissonance in their mind, being like, oh, something's wrong with me because I'm a woman and I'm not wearing pink today. Or I'm a man and I can't pick up 3 couches at once. I'm not strong. You know, I'm being dramatic. But you get the point that we kind of eared away from what are we here to do functionally that keeps us healthy and going, to a more abstract version that not everybody's going to fit in those boxes. So now that leads to a lot of people having so many identity issues because they feel like they cannot live in a box that was originally used only for grammar purposes to describe the world around us, right? Yeah, we're talking about gender norms. We're talking about gender identity. We are talking overall about health and how to be healthy. But I'm just laying out the information before I lead to the 6 requirements to be healthy. So right now we are discussing, you know, focusing on the function of a human being over how we label ourselves, because being feminine is just a description. It doesn't mean that that's your complete identity. It's just describing something, right? Hi. So again, we want to make sure that we're focusing on function over labels. Yeah, some people, okay, you said some people think they need to live by the world. Exactly. What they say live in the world, not of the world. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but it's very close to it. Hi. I said hi, didn't I, friend? So, again, masculine focus more on initiating because that was the function that they saw within the man. Receiving, more focused on the woman because that was the function that was more focused on how a woman functioned, right? So, you know, pulling that idea and not making it so focused on what we see externally, what people describe themselves as, and focusing more on how is this individual function. So I say all this to say, the reason why I'm bringing up gender, y'all, okay, I'm only gonna delete this because I don't want y'all to be fighting in the chat now. I'm gonna just delete the last couple of one. Just because, you know, I want y'all to all enjoy y'all's time here. We're all vibing. It's a vibe. It's a vibe all the time. Y'all know that song? So anywho, back to what we were saying. So we say that because if you were here to listen to the original definition of health, we know that health describes wholeness. And how are you whole if you're not functioning wholly? How are you whole if not every aspect of you is functioning in a way that supports you in being yourself, right? And again, I say that so you are not confusing your gender to a description that was used millions of years, I'm saying millions, that's too long ago, but thousands of years ago to describe the world around us, masculine and feminine, right? So understand that masculine and feminine is something that human beings have both within them, you know? Hello, nation. Men and women both have masculine and feminine energy within them. There's no ends or buts, whatever. You a man, you have both masculine and feminine energy. You both receive and you initiate. You plan and you think. You birth things, even if you're a man, men birth things through creativity, right? Women have both masculine and feminine energy, right? So on, so on, so on, y'all. So the problem happens is when that balance is a little bit skewed, right? It don't matter what you are. If you are human, you have both masculine and feminine energy within you. It's how the world works. The world is both masculine and feminine. The two come together. You can probably have a neutral, but all three of those things come together to create life. So yes, yin and yang. So the problem sometimes can get to where if some people are overly masculine without really utilizing that feminine energy within them, versus maybe someone is overly feminine without using the like masculine energy within them, right? Because that could look like somebody being super lazy and thinking that the world is just going to bring them everything, not getting up to work, you know, bum behavior, right? That's super feminine. Versus somebody being super masculine where they're not prioritizing relationships, they're overly working, constantly thinking about the next thing they're going to do, very selfish and egotistical, right? That's where that imbalance can really harm people when it comes to masculine and feminine energy. And that can that can reduce their ability to really function wholly in a healthy way. Y'all make sure y'all like the video, y'all. Double tap. So, you know, we get into this conversation and I said the second thing we're going to talk about is just as above, so below, which is a law that we have to live by. And I always compare the cell in our body. We're talking about biology now. We're getting into the science, y'all. I always compare the actual cell to the human body, correlational, right? So we know that, here's my picture so I can show you guys so you can have a visual image of what's going on. We know that we have a cell. The cells come together to create a tissue. We're just going to be focused on these two right here. We're not going to focus on this one just yet, just these two. So cell comes together to create a tissue. We're going to correlate that with a human and correlate the cell to neighborhood in their community, right? And so all of these things come together to create something larger, even human beings. I feel like these conversations have been so deep. I hope everybody I just dropped my pen. I hope everybody's comprehending what I'm talking about and where things are going with this conversation. Because I'm using a lot of different areas like science, universal laws, like I'm using a lot of stuff, pulling them together to make sense of it. So I hope I'm not really getting anybody off and confused. But anywho, back to what we're saying, as above, so below. So that just means that there's a repeated pattern. And we know that all life is just a repeated pattern. You know, you have a mom and a dad come together, create an individual, and that gene is just repeated and repeated throughout the whole family. So the same way that a cell comes together to create community and provide to the whole, human beings do the same thing. And understand that how cells function is a direct mirror to how humans can function healthily. And I don't think people really talk about that. And once we really start to understand that if we can study a cell and see that a cell behaves the same way that a human being behaves, we can start mirroring our lifestyle to be similar to cellular lifestyle so that we can be healthy. So what does a healthy cell need in order to function and to be in their community? A healthy cell needs to receive nutrients, oxygen, and signals like communication. Okay, boom. A cell needs to process energy and materials to do its role. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing, a cell needs to eliminate waste and byproducts. The fourth thing, a cell needs to repair damages or replace components. The fifth thing, cells need to communicate with other cells. The sixth thing, cells need to contribute to tissue organisms as part of the whole. That's six things. Now that's cells, but we need to mirror a cell, right? Because we already do. So these are the six things a cell needs. So what do you think the six things a human being needs to actually be healthy? Let's get into it. So human beings needs to receive nourishment, information, and environmental input. Okay. Second thing, human beings needs to process experiences, emotions, and energy. Okay. Third thing, human beings need to eliminate physical and psychological waste. Okay. Fourth thing, human beings need to repair through rest and recovery. Oh, okay. Where we at? Fifth thing, human beings need to communicate regularly with others. Okay. And the last thing, humans need to contribute meaningfully to the larger system. So what all do you need to be healthy? Those are the six things that you need to do to be healthy. That's it. Somebody said, God, water, food, weed, family, all I need. Okay. Period. Okay. So again, we correlate that with how a cell lives. And those are the six things that human beings need. Understand this, y'all. Okay, let me tell y'all something. Give me a second. Good morning. How are you doing? Dang, it's hard to open. Y'all. So I was looking on the internet, right? And y'all know who Meghan Trainor is? Let me show y'all a picture. So I was looking on the internet and I'm like, everybody keep talking about how Meghan Trainor lost weight. And I'm never really been like a big fan of her or anything. She's cool. She's pretty. But everybody's like, she lost weight. The government got to her. She's one of them. This is a scam that Ty set up. All about that base exactly. Okay, so y'all know. So y'all know who she is. So they're like, this is a scam that's Todd set up. Like, they're trying to control us. So I started watching some of her, hold up. I started watching some of her interviews because I'm like, everybody's saying that the government is controlling her. And just in case y'all don't know, that's Meghan Trainor. So everybody's like, the government is controlling her, and this is da. So okay. So I started watching her interviews because I'm like, okay, so what's going on? So she's very honest about what's going on. She's like, hey, me and my husband, we took Munjuro, which is a weight loss diet thing. And, I lost this weight and I feel so good. She said, we've been eating differently, exercising. I don't even eat the same. This is how she looks now. She looks very beautiful to me. I mean, she looked beautiful before, but she looks beautiful now too, right? So she's like, yeah, we took this medicine. So then I just started thinking, like, what's the big deal about weight loss medicine? Like, I know everybody always want to lose weight, but weight loss medicine has been like big on social media, like Ozempic, Munjuro, all of those things have been so big on social media. And so you know me, I had to get to looking into it. And I looked into a couple of studies, and then I just asked myself, well, what if people want to do this naturally? Like, not everybody want to take a pill. I mean, I don't know, is it a pill or a shot? Not everybody want to do that because that's not sustainable. Most of the time, we got to focus on lifestyle changes. And when you add in medicine, that's not a lifestyle change because you're not actually doing that. Like, that's a medicine doing that for you. The medicine is going into your system, changing your hormones, changing how your body reacts to certain stuff for you to lose that weight. But you could do the same thing if you had the skills. The problem is we don't. But me, I had to look into it. And because the first thing that a human being needs is to receive nourishment, information, and environmental input, that's one of the first things we need to do. That's one of the first things we need to know is how do we receive proper nourishment? Now, I didn't go into all of it because I'm not a nutrition scientist. That's not what I'm even really interested in, right? She got a facelift too? Dang. Well, you know, she didn't say that in the interview. She just said she took the medicines. But that's the first thing I like. It just all was like a lot, you know. I'm like, okay, well, how do you receive nourishment? So I got the natural Ozempic, y'all. I got the natural Ozempic, the natural Munjuro, whatever you call it, GLP-1. If y'all want to know, this is how you naturally get what Meghan Trainor, her husband, and all them famous people paying for, like Kim Kardashian and all her sisters and brothers. So this is one thing that I learned. It's called meal sequencing. So we already talked about the 6 things that you need to be healthy. Hey, JJ, we already talked about the 6 things that you need to be healthy, right? And if you were here earlier, I started talking about gender first to lead up into this conversation so that we can dispel all that extra BS and we can focus on, are you functioning as a human being? That who cares about your gender? Are you functioning as a human being? Because even then, not every woman is going to have a child. So we cannot describe every woman as that, right? So the natural Ozempic information that I learned is called meal sequencing. Have you ever heard of that before? Let me know. Have y'all ever heard of meal sequencing before? Let me look at this poll. 81% of people said that they are healthy. 12% said, I don't know. I know for sure I'm not healthy. I know for sure. I just ate me a breakfast burrito. It was actually really good. I put bacon, eggs, cheese, and I ate 2 oranges too. It was real good. That's what I ate for breakfast, and some water. It was a healthier version of my breakfast, honestly, because I've been eating like the little breakfast corn dogs for breakfast because they're real easy. I could just eat them in the morning. But like that, exactly, Tile. That's how I feel, as I should be, because I know better. Hey, Pitman. I know better. That's why I say I'm not healthy, because I know better. So, meal sequencing. This is one thing that I learned, and it helps to reduce blood sugar, and it helps you eat healthier, right? Be healthier, get full, stay full longer. So the way that you do it, oh, I think I have a picture. Hopefully I didn't delete this picture. Let me add the picture. Here it is. Hopefully you can see the whole screen. Y'all see that? Google Gemini made this for us. Thank you, Google Gemini. So this is basically what meal sequencing is. So basically it's fiber first. So go ahead and eat your greens, your leafy greens, your broccoli. Eat that first. Eat a salad first is basically what they're saying. A salad with just the vegetables, right? And you can kind of see this like in real time. You go to a restaurant, they always give you super salad first. But we don't always know why they do what they do. But look. Then the second thing you do is eat your protein and any extra fat that you are consuming in your diet. And then the last thing you eat is your carbohydrates. And then you can start over if you so desire. So basically what that does is that when you first eat the fiber, it creates a lining in your stomach that supports the movement of all those other things. So again, I'm not the meal sequencing person. I can't tell you everything, but that is what came up if you want to have a healthier alternative if you're interested in losing weight. Let me get some more information for y'all. So it's a dietary strategy where you eat food in a specific order. So veggies and fiber first, then protein and fats, then carbs to help slow sugar absorption, reduce blood glucose spikes, and improve fullness and manage weight. So again, it's not the same, because I did look this up, because I said, I like eating a salad now. I just eat a salad. Is that the same thing? No, it's not the same thing as just eating a salad. You have to actually consume the vegetables and the leafy greens first, because it creates a lining around your stomach that supports the processing of all those other foods. Then you have to eat this second. It's an order. So you can't just eat them all together. So that will help with if you overeat and you have appetite problems. Like literally, this is how I see it. You just literally grab a handful of vegetables and leafy greens and just eat it. Like that's all I heard. All I heard is just before you eat, take a handful of vegetables, leafy greens, and just eat it. And when we say vegetables, don't confuse potatoes and stuff with vegetables, because that's a carb, right? Literally just go and get some arugula salad before you eat your meal and just handful it. That's all I heard. So I'm going to start practicing just eating handfuls of salad to support my eating habits. Is it weird? Yes. In my opinion, it is. Will I be healthier? Yes, and that's all that matters. So, that's one thing that you can definitely do. And you want to make sure that you prioritize protein as well. So, you eat that, but make sure you get a healthy amount of protein, especially during the morning time. So whatever protein you like to eat, make sure you get a healthy amount in the morning time, because that will support you throughout the day. Exactly, Tal. That's what I'm saying. Like we don't ever know why people do what they do, but it's always a reason. It's always a reason, and they might not even realize it either. You know, what else? Make sure you're eating within a certain time. I have a bad habit of eating at nighttime before I go to bed. That's why I say I'm not healthy, because I know I'm not supposed to be doing certain stuff and I still do it. Make sure you're eating within the 10 to 12 hour window. So, you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, your last meal should be at 8 p.m., right? You shouldn't be eating, too late. Make sure you eat within a certain time. Strength training, of course, 2 to 3 times a week will support and improve insulin sensitivity and metabolic signaling. So these are all things you can do if you want a natural Ozempic. You don't want to have to go and take the shots every day and get addicted to shots that are affecting your hormones, and it's not really you doing the job, it's something else outside of you, right? Make sure you get your sleep, make sure you get the sun, and consume more bitters. Celery juice, or eating celery. Green tea, leafy greens. Again, eat those leafy greens, y'all. Just eat the leafy greens. Hopefully you don't have Ebola, like they be trying to kill us with that Ebola. Helps pre-diabetes and diabetes. Yes, GR. Because apple cider vinegar is a bitter compound. So it supports you. So I say all that to say, again, I want you guys to know, if as a human being, we have to stop focusing on description and focus on function. Originally, we were looked at by our function, and if you can look at your function over everything else, that's how you'll know if you're healthy. So many people think, well, I'm a woman, okay, I'm supposed to be feminine, and then they start feeling like they're not healthy because they don't align to the feminine ideas that we receive from society. But understand that gender is just a subjective experience. It really is. Gender changes with time. How we define gender roles changes with time. And so if you consistently are defining yourself based off of something that has never been consistent, you won't ever have a consistent identity. And it won't be healthy for you. Not having consistent identity is not healthy. So make sure you understand that as a human being, the only thing that you need to be worried about is receiving nourishment, receiving information, and receiving the environmental input. Okay? Only thing you need to be worried about is processing experiences, emotions, and energy. How do we do that? We talked a little bit about that in the last video, about processing emotions, and we talked about what was the question that GR asked about? Mental detoxing. We talked about detoxing, right? And like being able to journal, pray, think, meditate, breathe. All these things support you in processing all of these things, especially emotions. We're supposed to eliminate physical and psychological waste. That's another way of detoxing, right? And actually using the bathroom. That's why we need to eat that fiber, because it helps to grab everything up and pull it out our body to go to the bathroom, right? Even sweating is something else that helps us detox all that waste. We need to know how to repair through rest and recovery. You not getting sleep, you not sitting down to take a break, your body doesn't have time to repair. That's your body is a natural repairer. I just fell, literally, y'all, it was so embarrassing, y'all. I fell in front of a group of kids, man. But I just fell, man, and I scraped my knee. I still feel it a little bit, but my knee is able to repair itself. I'm not going to have that open wound for the rest of my life. It's going to repair and I'm going to move on. So, again, I feel like I missed one. I don't know. Oh, communicate regularly with others. You need to have community. You need to be around people. You need to contribute meaningfully to the larger system. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is how to build community. And how to contribute meaningfully to a larger system, because that's the one thing that I think is dying off in this age of social media, not actually being around people, and then people having bad relationship problems and relational trauma, and that stops them from really functioning well. So, we're going to get deeper into that. But, yeah. I feel like all that was said. I think that was a good amount of information. But sometimes we are misaligned. It's better to look good than to feel good. Who said that? It was an old comedic skit. Who said that? Now, so understand that, we are misaligned with our divine nature. Remember, divine is just meaning the order in which things go. There's a natural order, and your body has a natural order within itself. And so sometimes we don't get proper input. We don't get the sunlight. We don't eat the fiber. We don't get the sleep, right? And so that affects our ability to really perceive the world around us properly. Sometimes we do become dysregulated because we have an overwhelmingly amount of stress. Sometimes, we're not prioritizing our needs first. And so it dysregulates us. We have too much on our plate and we cannot process it all. Sometimes things are blocked from us because of that physical stress or that psychological stress that's carried over, and we have so much on our plate we cannot process it. Again, you not getting enough sleep, you're not eating enough of your nutrients, your body is not going to be able to repair itself. You have to have a healthy input to have a healthy output. And so that's why those 6 things are the most important things you need to know in order to have that healthy output. Sometimes not everybody is taught how to communicate properly. So then we have these relationship breakdowns, and then people start to blame themselves subconsciously about these relationship breakdowns, and it's hard for them to create healthy relationships. Okay, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Or we're not living the purpose that we desire. So all these things could really decrease and dysregulate our ability to function wholly as a human being. So we don't, again, say this again for the 30 millionth 11th time. We do not want to base our health on gender norms, the law of gender, because that was originally used in grammar for communication purposes about what things are. Whether they're animated, they're not animated, they're alive, right? That was grammar. Gender identity, gender roles, how we define gender changes all the time. All the time. Back in the day, it was men who used to get on stage in wigs and dresses, and they thought it was okay. Even now, if you look at Indian men, like the type of wearing that they have, and from an outside perspective, it may look like a skirt or a dress. It wraps around. I think in Nigerian cultures they do that as well, where they wear that wrap around. Some people may look at that from a different culture and think that that's what a woman wears, But no, that's how men dress, right? So we cannot associate things to gender. We have to truly only focus on how are humans supposed to function in this world around us. Now, this is a little bit off topic, y'all. This is a little bit off topic. Exercise, most definitely. Exercise. Hey, platypus, welcome back, baby. Exercise, most definitely. That helps you eliminate waste through sweating and helps your lymphatic system drain properly. I'm trying to turn this off. That's what I need to do. Turn it off. There we go. So, y'all, this is a little bit off topic, but while I was doing the research for this is all I got for that research, y'all. But while I was doing the research for this, I was really having a conversation with myself about how humans like evolve over time. And I was like, human beings have evolved so quickly. But at the same time, like there's something functionally missing within us. Because I was just thinking about the fact that as above, so below, right? Human beings contribute to the greater ecosystem of the earth, right? Because for a long time I was like, do humans really belong on this planet? Y'all know if y'all get into like occult or like conspiracy theories, different people say different stuff, but one of the things that they say is that human beings are not of this planet, that they came in from a different planet. You know, this is just conspiracy theories, but they came in on a different planet and they were placed on Earth. So I was thinking to myself, like, human beings are such a interesting concept. Like, there's so many of us and we're so different, and like some of them are really slow, very slow in my eyes. And like when I say, I mean slow to understand and slow to comprehend when they have the skills is what I mean. I'm not talking about people who don't have the skills. I'm talking about you have the skills and you're not using them. Treating ill, they do, GR, for sure. They definitely do. So I was just thinking about how one of the things that humans have that other animals don't have is just like that cognition. And we have like that frontal lobe. And that's really what differentiates us from other animals. And that gives us these skills to think at a higher level, to communicate at a higher level, to build on top of our society that we have, and really add meaning to the world differently than how other animals do. And I asked myself, I was just like, what is it that allowed us to do this, like, and really develop? Because our cognitive abilities, again, evolved over time. And I got a mental image of a caveman with like a sword. Let me see if I can find a picture, y'all. Caveman with a spear. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it was a spear. So, of course, it wasn't this exact image, but this is what I got, right? When I started thinking about this and I was asking myself, like, what's the difference? And I hope y'all saw that. And what I got out of that is humans evolve as much as the tools that we create for our society. Like, we evolve as far as the tools and resources that we create. And we create tools and resources focused on already real things that are a little expanded. And through that expansion of our tools and resources, that's how we cognitively evolve. But the problem is these tools and these resources evolve not really with a core manual that says this is what this is used for, this is how to use it. And then human beings take that and we don't use these tools and resources wisely to support the greater environment that we live in. And it obviously starts to become disruptive to our environment. You know, we kill oceans, animals in the oceans, you know, the air pollution, all these things that humans create that really hinders the earth that we live on. And that we're really here to be steward of the earth, right? Like, we're the only cognitive animal that has the ability to really tend to the earth in this manner. We're really here to support the earth, and we forget that that's what we're here for. So anywho, I thought that was very interesting. Thank the government for that. Yeah, but you gotta understand the government is made up of human beings still. It's still human beings. It is still human. I mean, some people say it's not human. Some people say it's lizards. Conspiracy theories, though. Conspiracy theories. But yeah, I just thought that was so interesting. So like, even with AI, when I tell y'all, I think like, oh my God, if I didn't have AI and I have to go through what I'm going through now, my life I wouldn't be who I am today. I would be stressed out. Y'all would not be seeing me on the YouTube, y'all. Because I would be so stressed out if it was not for AI. And on top of that, AI is what allows me to do a lot of the research as quickly as anything else. Because before AI, you would have to go look at different websites. You got to look into different books to get all this information. I would have had the layout, but it would have took me a way longer time to get the information, right? I think back to like 4 or 5 years ago, I used to say to myself, like, you know, I always love biology, especially sales. I've always been interested in sales. And 4 or 5 years ago is when I really got to the mindset of what's the similarity between a cell and a human being? And then in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go study biology. I'm going to have to go take a biology course. I'm going to have to go to school and get a degree in biology. No, there was already a human being that wrote a whole book about this topic. Really, all I had to do was go to go find it. That's all. So even with AI now, it's like, if you use it wisely, you can really use AI to get to the next level of your life. But sometimes some people allow AI to use them. They don't realize it. Hey guys, I'm blessed. How are you? So they don't realize it, but that's what's happening. So let's not let AI use us. Let's use AI to really boost our life and boost our cognitive abilities, because that's another way that humans function, and we don't always use that in a way that really supports us. So, you know, I didn't really want to get too much deep into that conversation, only because it's not related to the 6 things that the reasons why humans are healthy, but I didn't want to talk about it. And from what I heard, there's actual word that goes with it, but I don't know what the word is that go with it. And you know, that's a bar. So anywho, that's really all I have for the conversation for today about the 6 requirements that you need to be healthy. Y'all, the only thing, the number one takeaway I can take from this is, before you eat anything, just grab a handful of arugula or kale or spinach. Just grab a handful of it and just eat that. And then wait a little bit and then eat your food. You're going to be healthier. Eat that fiber. But yeah, y'all. What y'all think? Let me look at this poll. Most people think they're healthy. 17% said no. And 11% said, I don't know. Most people think they're healthy, though. Repeat the 6. Yes, I can. I can. Okay. So number 1, the 6 things. Hold up. Let me start back over. Really in. Nature's ozempic. Okay. Number 1. No, actually, that's not nature's ozempic. That was the other conversation. That was the meal sequencing. Here's how the human being should function healthily. 6 things. Number 1, receive nourishment, information, and environmental input. Number 2, process experiences, emotions, and energy. Number 3, eliminate physical and psychological waste. Number 4, repair through rest and recovery. Number 5, communicate regularly with others. And number 6, contribute meaningfully to the larger system. Larger system meaning your community, your neighborhood, your friends, your family. Actually contributing something, giving of yourself. So I remember I chose those 6 things because it's correlational to how a healthy cell functions. And because a cell makes up who we are, as above, so below, is the laws of the land. Remember that. Godson bless. She said, I'm definitely big on number 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Okay. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. This week has been a really good week for me. It's been really good, y'all. Because I finished all my finals yesterday. Hallelujah. I get a break. I get a break from school, y'all. I'm so happy, y'all. I'm so damn tired. And on top of that, so I started working with like these group of women. And like we did like this like business talk. Shout out to if any of my my business buddies are on here, just in case they're watching. Hey y'all. Yes, guys, I'm blessed. Almost done. It's all downhill from here. Hey Tashika, welcome back. I'm doing well. How are you doing? So, mind you, if y'all don't know, I'm working on my master's in communication disorders. If y'all ever wonder why she always talking about communications, because that's literally what I study. And what the title is, speech language pathology. So, you know, the disorder of speech and language. But y'all know my personal desire is to focus on pragmatics, which is not a large field that is focused in my field. You know, a lot of times they're more focused on, you know, like people with actual communication disorders. So like people who have swallowing problems, or people who cannot say their L's and R's, or people like who are on the spectrum who don't have social skills. And that's really when we talk about the pragmatic aspect, that's really when people focus on pragmatics. But that's why you speak so well. Could be. I've always been like this, honestly. I actually, fun fact, I grew up again in the church, and I've been writing and saying speeches when I was in church as a child. Me and my grandmother, she would help me write speeches and memorize them, and then I would say them in competitions, in different competitions, up until like I was like, I don't know, it was when I was in elementary school. So I've always been a great speaker. I think this is just who I am, a communicator. So this is just how I live my lane. No, this is me actualizing. This is my self-actualizing process, honestly. So like I was saying, what was I saying? So yeah, pragmatics. That is my core focus that I want to focus on. And I want to move from just focusing on people who are on the spectrum to actual neurotypical people, regular people, everyday people who have relational issues because they lack pragmatic skills. You know, like the whole going no contact is trending, and a lot of things are trending. You talk about just having bad relationships overall, people who talk about not being able to make friends. And obviously the reason why these are problems is because they don't have pragmatic skills. And if you learn pragmatic skills, it's easier to, again, function healthily. The last 2 things that you need on the list to be a functional, healthy human being is to communicate regularly with others and to contribute meaningfully to the larger system. And so let me tell you, so I'm realizing like how my business is going to be, the direction I'm taking my business. And I'll probably just use this channel. I don't know. I'm still thinking, but I'll probably just use this channel as a hobby channel, because that's all I'm talking about on here is my hobbies, and really just focus my business other places, and eventually grow that into an actual, you know, real deal. Because, you know, girl gonna get her master's, you know, grow that into a real deal thing outside of all of this. But let me tell y'all what really hammered it in. First, the conversation with those ladies, which I love them so much. You know, it's just like when somebody adds so much value to your life, how can you not love? Like, it's like, oh my God, y'all just added so much value. But the day before that, y'all know I went to my girl's concert. I went to my girl's concert. Who did the body? Who did the body? That's why I'm wearing it today. I have to show y'all. And so when I was there, let me see if I have any pictures. I didn't take a lot. I can't show y'all everybody now. I don't have any of my individual pictures on here. I don't have any of my individual pictures on here, so I'm not going to show y'all any pictures right now. All the other pictures have people in it. So I thought I downloaded it, but I guess I didn't. But so anywho, when I went there, so me and my bestie, we went together. Y'all know it was hella people in that crowd, and it was a small venue. It was very small. It was hella people. So there was a lot of people who was trying to skip to the front, which, okay, I get it. I would too if I was by myself. So there's a lot of people trying to skip to the front, lying like, oh, my friend up there, da da da. You're lying. Y'all better stop lying. Y'all better figure it out. And so me and my friend were behind these 3 girls. I don't know how old they were, but we were behind these 3 girls. And so every time I would look, it would be somebody different in front of these girls. So I'm like, how do these people keep getting in front of me and these girls? And I realized it's because they would be like, excuse me. And they wouldn't like lock up and be like, no, you cannot move. You can't come this way. Go somewhere else. They would let these people pass them. And the problem was they would let these people pass them. And then they would sit and start talking shit about these people. What are you talking about? You the one who let these people pass you. You didn't say nothing. So eventually, me and my best friend ended up getting in front of them. Because, bitch, y'all not about to have people being pushed in front of you this whole time. Me and my best friend ended up getting in front of them. And from then on, I didn't have any problems with anybody passing me. But people would try to. And I would tell them every time, go the other way. You going to pass somebody else. You're not going to pass me. Right? Stand your ground. But every time I would turn around and look at those girls, it was somebody new in front of them every time. And so I would turn around because, you know, I did pass them myself. So I'm like, you know, they cool. We was having conversation. You know, you want to be around people who you can have fun with when you don't know them. You at a concert. Like, I can dance around you. We've been talking. You know, I'm sharing my fan. We cool. So every time I would turn around, it would be somebody different in front of them. So I would be like, where's my friend? And I will pull them back up. And I'm like, if it was not for me, you hoes will be in the back of the crowd. I say that respectfully, of course. But I say that to say that that's a part of pragmatic skills, is learning how to speak up for yourself and set boundaries. And the problem with a lot of people is that, you know, sometimes you got to go no contact, even if you did set boundaries and speak up for yourself. But sometimes people don't do that. They don't speak up for themselves. They don't set boundaries. They don't know their needs. And then guess what happens? They get emotionally frustrated. And they carry the emotional weight of being angry and upset of how people wronged them. And they never even communicated that to begin with. So pragmatic skills is not just for social skills, but it's for your own self. Not sacrifice, survival. Pragmatic skills is for survival. And if you're not able to use it wisely, you're going to not survive, at least spiritually. You'll be here physically, but emotionally and spiritually, you gonna be like goner. God's and blessed. I knew you had some hood in you, Queen Meiana. Funny facts that for where I'm from, I remember I watched the video where it said like the top like 10 hoods where I'm from, and I lived in at least 3 of those hoods. So I most definitely am mentally intelligent, but I have unfortunately lived in a hood. So that's how I learned. Don't let people play with you. People die every day. I'm not the killer, but they do. Anywho, so that happened. And y'all know 2025 has been a great year in regard diamond in the rough. Exactly. 2025 has been a great year in regards to my success and, you know, me being in school, things I manifested, me being in school, and, you know, just being able to have school be easier than what I expected. Me being able to go to work and go to school at the same time, like, these are blessings, right? Not everybody gets that opportunity. But I felt like when it came to the drama of 2025, it was so much unnecessary drama in 2025. And I realized the drama came from, it took me a long time. It's December now. The drama started in January, y'all. When I tell y'all 2025 has been a year for me, it has been multiple dramas where I've learned that even when you speak up and you communicate your needs, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. You need to know your rights. You don't know your rights, how you going to speak up? You're going to be scared to speak up. You don't know your rights. This year, drama that I've had when it came to pragmatic skills have been decreased because I figured out my rights. I went to the higher authorities each time and they told me what was T. You know, I had to speak up for myself and set boundaries. I had to learn that I need to communicate my needs and I need to do what I need to do regardless of what anybody else tell me I need to do or not, because you don't control me if I'm emotionally being affected by this. You can't tell me what to do if I'm emotionally drained from a situation. I learned that you can speak up, you can consistently speak up and put it out there and even go to the higher ups and they can even tell you that they gonna do something and they not gonna follow through. So you have to figure out what you're gonna do when you speak up for yourself, set boundaries, and they still don't follow through. And they don't care about what you say. What you do then. These are things I have to learn. What do? I leave the environment. I leave the situation. Goodbye. That's why I'm moving. Leaving the situation, leaving the environment. Y'all go to hell. Quickly. So, I said all that to say that pragmatic skills have been something that I had to really sit down and think a lot about and how that has affected my personal life this year. And I don't want any more specifically black women, but also other women of color, because women of color are affected by this and not communicating in general, to have to go through situations in life where they don't have the ability to connect to the grand scheme of life, the people around them, their community, because they don't have these skills. So I figured out what I'm going to be focusing on in the next few years, how my life is going to be going. Let me tell y'all another situation that just happened, right? So y'all know I work at schools. So when you work at schools, you got to work with the teachers. I love working with my teachers. I've never really dealt with a teacher who was just a bitch. Like, most of my teachers, you could tell they're all different personalities, but they do really well with their kids. They work with, I just really love working with the teachers. And now usually when I go and I teach classrooms, the teacher doesn't sit up there and teach with me. I'll just go teach the classroom myself, but they'll support like classroom behavior. And then a lot of times the teacher is getting some type of other work done while I'm doing this, So there was this one particular teacher. Now, mind you, I'm in a room where I haven't worked with a child of this nature before, right? So I'm in this room working with this child. Well, let me fast forward. The first time I met the teacher, I felt, and I kind of told y'all about this, I felt a little bit uneasy about it because I had asked her a question. I asked about the child. She told me that the child wasn't there for a particular reason, and I repeated back what she said. And I said, oh, the child's not here because of da-da-da. And she kind of seemed like she had an attitude when I said that. And so I was like, okay, just asking a question for my own understanding, but okay, cool. So that was my first interaction. I was like, oh, this is a little weird. So then my second interaction was the first time going in there and working with the child. Now, when I worked with the child, when you work with any kid, they have to sign off or the teacher has to sign off. And this kid can't sign off. So the teacher has to sign off on this paper. And so I was like, oh, can you sign off? She said, yeah, give me a second. But then I realized, oh, she's busy. So instead of me communicating, which I know my own faults, I could have probably said, okay, I see you're busy. Let me see if somebody else can sign maybe. I said, I just turned around, saw she's busy, and said, I went to the nurse. I'm like, can you sign? Okay, I guess I need to start looking more ugly, y'all. I don't know. I got it. Make sure you like the video, Barney. Double tap the video, at least, please. So, anywho. So, the teacher got upset with me because I went to someone else to go see if they could sign. That person couldn't sign the paper. She got upset with me and she hurried up and walked out the room and she said, did you figure out who needs to sign? Decide then. And she left the room. And I said, like, that's so unnecessary. Like, why do you have an attitude? Like, that's just not necessary to have an attitude when really, if you really understood, I was really trying to help you out because you were busy. I was trying to decrease the load on your work with me standing around staring at you, looking at you being busy. So that was like my third interaction, right? And so I already knew I don't like this woman. But I'm so tired of carrying around anger and resentment and frustration about people when really that's not healthy. It's not healthy to be carrying around all this just because of somebody who I don't even have to see all the time. I see you like once a month, really. So for me the people who I see damn near every day, I don't have no problem with them. I've been seeing people for 3 years straight. Never had an issue with them. But I see you once a month, like 3 times. And every time I see you, it's always some type of weird energy, weird feeling, right? So I've been saying like maybe I should talk to her, but at the same time I'm like I don't ever see her. Like, I was carrying a lot of anger and disgust about the situation, and I was trying to be nice and at one point, but like I just could tell, like, I don't know. So mind you, I went in there this week, right, to go see the kid. And so I said, hey, hi. I said, can I work the kid? The teacher was like, yeah, that's cool. So I go in there, work the kid. And so when it's time to leave, remember, she has to sign the paper, right? Afternoon, she has to sign the paper. So I go knock on the door. She's in her office. There's an office in the room I'm in. She's in the office. I go knock on the door, but there's a window. She got a kid in there. There's a window I can see her. So I knock on the door. The door is locked. She locked the door. I'm like, okay, weird, lock the door. I try to open the door, locked. She sees me, and she's like, I'm testing the kid, and she waves me away. Bye. I don't know about y'all, culturally, waving people away like that is actually very rude. It's not something that people typically do. I don't care what authority you are. You don't wave people away like that because that's disrespectful. And there's no authority level with me and her. We at the same place. So I don't care even if you was my boss. You're not going to wave me away. That's rude. So, yeah, exactly, Goslin, right? So I ended up like, she didn't sign the paper. So I ended up leaving the room. And I asked somebody else, I'm like, hey, where is the teacher's assistant? I didn't see the teacher's assistant, which I was just going to have the teacher's assistant sign the paper because she's the one who signed the paper last time so that I didn't have to deal with this drama. So she's like, well, the teacher's assistant went to a different school. She quit. She got a different job. She's a teacher now. Okay, congratulations to her, but I need this paper signed. So she said that she could sign the paper because she's been assisting in the classroom. I said, well, I told her, I've been having issues with this teacher. Should I take it personally? I'm never really in this classroom, so I don't know why I would have to take it personally. So I don't know if it's just a me thing or if that's just how she is. And so she was like, she kind of did that like, girl, that's just how she is. You don't take it personally. And then there was another teacher who I work with, and she walked past me, and she's very intuitive because she don't know what's going on. She just see me standing outside this door talking to somebody looking frustrated. She was like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's okay. She's like, are you sure everything's okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's okay. But I ended up later speaking to her because she's like, I'm going to tell you something. So later I spoke to her. She told me, like, don't take it personally. That's how she is with everybody. So I ended up leaving my pen in her classroom. So I said, you know what? Everybody's telling me don't take it personally. That's how she is with everybody. This is a perfect opportunity for me to go and be an adult and communicate these problems in a pragmatic way so that I don't have to keep carrying this frustration, anger, and resentment toward this lady who I do not know. So I ended up going in there. And mind you, it was only like 10 minutes after I left. And so when I went in there, she was teaching the students. So I just waited in the back where she could see me, of course, watching her to wait so we could speak together. Because I didn't want her to feel like I was interrupting her. I didn't want to cause any extra drama than what we already had. I'm telling y'all this story so y'all can understand the importance of pragmatic skills in these problems. And if you don't have these skills, how you will have a lot of burden on yourself. So once she got done speaking, she was like, yes, do you need something? I'm like, yeah, I just want to speak to you. So we ended up having a conversation, and I let her know, like, hey, I don't know if you feel like we have a problem, but I don't have a problem with you. I feel like we may have started off on the wrong foot, but I don't want to have these occurring problems. And she was like, I don't have a problem with you. Like, I never had a problem with you. She let me know, like, she don't have a problem with me. She said that she didn't know that she had to sign anything, which people be lying, because even in the conversation, she kind of proved that she knew that something probably needs to be signed, but, you know, let her have it. But she was like, I don't have a problem with you. She was like, you actually do your job really well. Thank you. She said, you're an expert in your field, so I just let you do what you need to do. She told me I closed the door because initially I go in there to pray, because I think she's like Muslim, because she wears like, let me not say out too much, but she goes in there to pray, so she'll lock the door. And then she said that she closed the door because you know, I was out there working with the student. Hey, exactly, GR. But me personally, I don't like too much. I like to feel respected. So I don't care if it's a personal problem with me or nobody. You're not going to be disrespecting me. That's how I feel. I'm not the type of person who accepts disrespect lightly. Like, once it gets to a point of disrespect, I feel like we have a problem. We do. So she let me know, she was like, you know, that's how I am with everybody. You know, I don't really go around speaking to everybody. She's like, I have a small clique who I really communicate with, but outside of that, that's just really how I am. I let her know that we're two beautiful Black women. You know, I let her know, you've been working with this type of student longer than I have. I really do appreciate your input. I don't mind you working with me when I work with this student. And I actually do need your input, so you can let me know how to work with this student better. Teachers know their kids better than I do if I don't see this kid all the time. So we had that conversation. It ended with us giving each other a hug and letting each other know, like, hey, we're on the same page, we're on the same team. And I made sure to be clear to ask, when is a better time for me to have you sign this paper? Instead of waiting until the end, which is how I typically do my work, is wait till I'm done with the work to get it signed off. I'm gonna do my work regardless. But she's like, I said, okay, well, when I first come in here or whenever I see you, maybe you can just sign it and we won't have that problem no more. So I say all that to say that for what I told you, I see this woman like one time a month, like 3 months straight. Every time I would think about that woman, it was negativity. Why? Because during those problems in communication, there was some type of communication breakdown where I thought something else that she may not have been thinking. And instead of me being able to, in the moment, resolve the communication breakdown, I carried that into the next few moments. And so it took me until something that really got me heated for me to be able to really go in there and resolve the communication breakdown and come to an understanding. Now, if she continues to act the same way, that's on her. But at least me personally, I've communicated and I set a boundary and I let her know my standards in my environment, and she let me know hers. And we both understand each other in a different way. And so for me, if I didn't do that and I didn't know how to have that conversation, because it wasn't an easy conversation for me to start, because even my body started going to fight and flight mode. Because y'all know, conflict resolution was not something that I learned as a child, which is why when as a child, I didn't do conflict resolution, because as my childhood, conflict looked like fighting, arguing, beating people up. That was conflict in my childhood. There was no resolution, because after beating people up, you cut them off. You don't talk to them again. You cut people out your life. So there was no conflict resolution. And so that's a part of pragmatic skills, is being able to have that conflict resolution in communication. But the part, never. Never. I'm not fighting nobody. I'm grown. There's no reason to fight people anyways, especially when you have the ability to communicate and understand. There's really no reason to fight. Mind you, I only support children fighting, not adults. As an adult, call the police. If the police don't help, that's when you probably have to start figuring it out yourself. If the police and the government not helping you out, you got to do the work yourself. That's the sad part about it, because they don't always come. But anywho, I said it to say that I feel a cohesion when it comes to my purpose in this lifetime, in the way that I have a self-actualization, because I've always known for my entire life my end goal. I always had the vision of my end goal, but I just never had the steps leading up. And I feel like now I have developed those steps leading up to my end goal, and that definitely includes me being able to teach pragmatic skills to the masses. So I'm super excited about that. I don't think I'm going to have any classes on this particular subject, unfortunately, but I'll be the expert in the subject, and you guys will come to me in the next few years talking about how to resolve these problems in relationships and have better relationships. Hey, I'm not a relationship guru, but I will be the person to help you in communicating so you can have better relationships, y'all. Hey, Kiefer. You said she was Kevin because you were in her. Exactly. Godson. That's how I feel. Some people don't know how to really take accountability and say, hey, you know, I did feel like you were being disrespectful when you didn't ask me to sign that paper. No, not everybody's going to say that. And I can't force people to speak their truth. So, John talking about baby dolls don't fight anyway. Chucky do. Chucky gonna bite your arm. Tal said you going to make a man real happy someday. He's so smart and beautiful. Is that true? Go places. Hope to meet you at the top, man. Okay, meet you at the top. Meet you at the top. Y'all. So, yeah, I just had to say that, let y'all know what's going on because this is definitely a passion channel. And when I tell y'all, this channel has really gotten me through stress. Like, it's been an outlet for me to not have to focus on all the other things in daily life. And I could really focus on, you know, talking how I like to talk. All the things I'm interested in regards to spirituality and being able to manifest the life that you want in this lifetime. Like, all those things is very much a passion channel. So I appreciate everybody who has been here on the grind with me. All my people, we're growing and flourishing. So, again, just to end like the poll and stuff, 74% said they're healthy. Y'all, who said that? Who said yes? Tell me the health tips. What y'all be doing? 17% said no, and 9% said I don't know. Y'all, again, if y'all weren't here, my vote on the poll will be no, I'm not healthy. I say that because I know better and I don't do better. I say that because I like to eat the breakfast sausage pancake sticks in the morning. And I know that's not healthy for me. I know that because I know the effects of sugar. And I know that because, yeah, exactly that. And I still do it. I love to eat nachos. I love to eat nachos so much. I know the cheese is not healthy for you. In moderation. In moderation, of course. I love to eat ice cream and cookies. Y'all know they've been talking about how Breyers ice cream is not real ice cream. I don't eat Breyers. I eat Bluebell. I think that people who eat Breyers are weird. Why are you eating Breyers when Bluebell is right next to it? Go eat Bluebell ice cream. It's so good. Journaling for me? What you mean, GR? A type of journaling. Y'all, I've gotten back into doing my gratitude journaling too, y'all. I had stopped gratitude journaling for a long time. Bluebell is so good, isn't it? So I started doing my little gratitude journaling again, y'all, so I can get my mind back. I need my mind back. So I think 2026 is going to be a good year because it's just going to be me chilling because I have plans for 2027. 2026 is going to be like my, what they call it when Goku is like powering up. Let me see. No, what is it called? Like, let me ask Google. What is it called when... No, I don't know what you would call it. But it's like basically like in anime shows, like how the people, they'll leave. And really when they leaving, it's because they like really getting themselves together to like power up. Like they collecting all the knowledge, they meditating, and then they come back and they like 10 times stronger. I don't know what you call that. But that's going to be 2026 for me. So that 2027, I'm on my shit's naive. Yeah, we all could eat better. Yeah, GR, that's how I feel. Time capsule, is that what it's called? Let me see. Time capsule anime. I don't know. Sabbatical. That's a good one. Sabbatical. A period of paid leave granted to a university teacher or other worker for study or travel, traditionally 1 year for every 7 years worked. What? People get paid to have a sabbatical. Girl, I've been working too long. I'm ready for my sabbatical. I'm ready for my sabbatical, y'all. A rest or break from work. That's exactly what I need. Yep. Where is the sabbatical, y'all? I don't want to keep y'all too long. We about to get up off of here. Restore and recreate. That's what I need. It's time for the sabbatical. But maybe the sabbatical will be 2027. Maybe that's when it will be. I have plans. I have real plans, y'all. We moving on up. Y'all want to see y'all's your nephew? Come here, baby. Come here, son. Hold up. Come here. Here is my sonny Winnie. Just in case y'all miss y'all's nephew. Say hi to your yonkles and yunties. Say hello to your yonkles on the YouTube. They right there. No, look. Look. They right there. You see him? Y'all hear him purring? Yeah, he about 12 pounds. He about big as hell. My sonny Winnie. But this is my son. So do not call him obese. He's working on himself, okay? We have a lot to work on. But that's all I got for y'all today. And tomorrow we're going to talk more about finding community, how to do that, especially based off of how sales do it. I think I have a little bit more to figure out, but it's going to be figured out by tomorrow. And I'll see you guys later. Bye. Shout out to Willie. Bye. I'll see you guys tomorrow.